A Boston jury found Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokar Tsarnaev guilty on all 30 counts against him.
17 of those charges carry a possible death penalty. The same jury will determine Tsarnaev's fate. The bombings killed 3 people and wounded more than 260 others. And a number of Hoosiers were part of the Boston Marathon in 2013. Many of them saw the devastation firsthand.
Yeah, that's right. Our Night Beat reporter Jenny Ranovich spoke with a runner from Pendleton about the verdict as well as that potential sentence.
Well, guys, she told me she is very clear about the verdict in this case, and that is guilty equals justice. But as for the punishment, that's a little more tough. Even with the magnitude of this attack, should jurors decide that Tsarnaev should die?
Yes, I did.
She still cherishes mementos from her first Boston Marathon.
I'd finished the race. It was an awesome experience.
But Heather Hall also can't forget the terror.
I would say I was probably 200, 300 yards away.
Walking back toward the finish line when she saw and heard an explosion.
It was loud, and you saw, a big fireball. Then the second bomb exploded, and then people were frantic at that point.
Heather was okay, but later learned fellow runners fell victim to the worst act of terrorism in the U.S. since 9/11. 2 years later, jurors have now found the accused bomber, Dzhokar Tsarnaev, guilty on every count he faced.
Honestly, if they had not found him guilty on all 30 counts, that would have been a severe injustice.
The verdict now triggers the penalty phase in this trial, more evidence, more testimony, and the jury's decision if Tsarnaev will be put to death or spend life in prison.
If this isn't the textbook example for a death penalty case, there probably isn't one.
For Heather, it's not that simple. The sentence presents a struggle, emotional and moral.
Do I think death is appropriate? Yes. As a mother, when you think of harm being, deadly harm being done to your child, that's very appropriate. As a mother, I would feel that way. I guess maybe a little bit different as a Christian woman.
Heather feels justice will be served whatever the jury decides, and she hasn't let what happened in Boston stop her running. If anything, it's fueled this Hoosier to run for those who can't as well.
Thankfully, I was okay, but it could have been different. Could have been a lot different.
Now, Heather tells me the only positive from this tragedy, witnessing that people are innately good. Those who jumped fences and barricades to help the wounded that day. She says a terrible act will not stop Americans from doing the right thing. Meanwhile, back in Boston, the penalty phase of this trial begins next week. Jenny Ranovich, Channel 13 Eyewitness News.